Back to that breaking news from the Capitol here. The President Biden here, classified documents, the second batch has been found in the president's garage. But he's speaking live now, not on the breaking news, but on the inflation report. Let's listen in.
Is moderating as well. You know, and as inflation is coming down, take-home pay for workers is going up. Workers' wages are higher now than they were 7 months ago, adjusted for inflation. Wages for lower income.
Okay, again, the president will continue to speak on that on the inflation report. That is not the news right now. And the reporters in that room, they know that too. So do ours. Our chief White House correspondent, James Rosen, is joining us live on the North Lawn from the White House with more on this breaking development here. James.
Yes, good morning, Sean. As we see the president speaking in the South Court Auditorium of the Eisenhower Executive Office Building just across West Executive Drive from the White House on the latest inflation reports showing that inflation was up 6.5% over this time last year, a slowing in growth, but nonetheless still higher than it was 1 year ago. We await perhaps at the end of that event whether reporters will be permitted to throw a few questions at the president and whether he may be asked. If he does take questions, he certainly will be asked about this latest development. The White House Special Counsel Richard Sauber now confirming published reporting from a number of news outlets yesterday that a second set of classified documents has been discovered in the possession of President Biden at a different location than the Penn Biden Center, the think tank in Washington, where the first batch of classified documents was discovered, this time in a storage space, Mr. Sauber says, located inside the garage at President Biden's home in Wilmington. Additionally, he said, Sauber did, that one other document, one page with classified markings, was discovered in a room adjacent to that garage. The White House special counsel using the same language this time as he did after the disclosure of the first batch of classified documents having been discovered, telling us that it is a small number of documents with classified markings. Once again, that this was discovered by the president's own attorneys and that they immediately notified the White House counsel's office, the National Archives, and the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice, for its part, has yet formally to confirm published reporting from this week that Attorney General Garland has asked the U.S. Attorney for Chicago, John Lausch, to look into this matter of the Biden classified documents, but a number of news outlets are also reporting that. So that's the status of it right now. The White House special counsel confirming for the first time the reporting from yesterday about a second batch of classified documents, telling us it is a small batch of documents with classified markings. However, we are obliged to note that the expansion of the Biden documents controversy now to the president's home in Wilmington, Delaware, puts this perhaps in a different league and perhaps more legitimizes comparisons with the Trump Mar-a-Lago documents case, where, after all, classified documents were found where Mr. Trump makes his home. So that's the status from the White House North Lawn. We'll be monitoring for more developments, Sean.
Right. And James, Emma here. We're also awaiting that press briefing by AG Merrick Garland later this afternoon. Newsmax will be tuning in for that. Any details about what sort of the communication has been like from the special counsel for the president and the National Archives Division? I mean, have these documents been handed over? Have we learned what they entail?
So it was interesting when the White House special counsel, Emma, Richard Sauber, issued his first statement on Monday about the discovery of the classified documents at the Penn Biden Center. Mr. Sauber was quick to note that none of the documents that were found in that instance had been sought or let alone subpoenaed by the federal government, by the National Archives or by the Department of Justice. In his statement responding to this most recent discovery of classified documents, this time in the president's home in Wilmington, Delaware, Mr. Sauber, I noticed that his statement did not include a similar statement from him that to the effect that the documents recovered in this second instance had not been sought by any federal government agencies. That doesn't mean that they had been, but it's interesting to note the differences where the National Archives is concerned. Mr. Sauber referred to them the first time as not having sought the documents. This time there was no such reference. So there's obviously close coordination going on. One further element of the Sauber statement from today that we should point out is that he added that the investigators had also searched President Biden's home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and found no documents there.
Yeah, but why were they searching? What prompted this? Was it because of the Penn Biden incident? There's a lot of questions to it, but I guess my question for you on this one, James, is, and I brought this up earlier in the block, there seems somewhat of a choreography here. It'd be hard not to believe that the special counsel for the president has not communicated with the White House comms department on this, or vice versa, knowing that there is a statement coming out today after 10 a.m. The president is also speaking right now during your report while this document has came out, while the statement has came out. He's also supposed to attend Ash Carter's memorial as well today. All this can't be coincidence. Your thoughts on that, James?
I lost the audio during the last part of your question, Sean, but there's no question there is communication between the White House counsel's office and the White House communications office on this subject. We know that simply from observing President Biden when he provided his first public accounting of this over in Mexico City during the Three Amigos summit alongside the President of Mexico and the Canadian Prime Minister. When Mr. Biden was asked about the Penn Biden documents by an Associated Press reporter, his answer throughout, he appeared to be reading off of a prepared text. And to imagine that the White House communications team would prepare a text for the president to read in response to what is officially now a legal matter without consulting with the White House counsel's office would be to underestimate the savvy of the White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, and his team.
All right, Chief White House Correspondent James Rosen reporting live. James, thank you. President Biden taking questions. Let's listen.
Material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
but at any rate,
was in a locked garage.
Yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident. Thank you very much.
Good to see you. How's the first lady, sir? How's the first lady?
She's doing really well. She was under a long time for 5 hours because what they were doing is would do the Mohs, meaning remove what they thought might be cancerous, and they'd have to then go back and test it and see what it was. But she's doing really well. She's up. We had breakfast this morning. She's recovering, and she's gonna be sore for a while because of the work they did on her eyes, and that's where one of these were. But she is a 0 to 1% chance of ever return of any cancer, and so thank God she's doing really well. Thank you for asking.
That is this is